Alrighty, it looks like we have everyone in our webinar today. So, hi everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to join us in our AP Automation webinar. My name is Orlando Ferrer, and I'm part of the pre-sales team here at Informed Decisions. I've been with Informed Decisions now for the last 8 years. And before we get started, I just want to tell you a little about Informed Decisions. We're founded back in 1994 with a focus on providing document payment management solutions. Customers range from small, medium-sized businesses all the way up to Fortune 500 companies, and of course with installations around the world. We've been known for our solutions in the IBMI mid-range arena, and in recent years in open platform and cloud-based document management solutions. So today we have Marcel Bella, Channel Manager for Syen, a recognized leader in capture technology and our committed strategic partner. Marcel is going to take us through a presentation on how AP automation can save you money, 70% of the cost of invoicing processing alone. So that's a pretty good deal there. Of course, she's going to talk about increased visibility, improved efficiency, and reduction in potential for fraud. So with that at hand, I'm going to hand this over to Marcel. And at the end of the webinar, we're going to come back and talk about some questions that you may have. With that said, Marcel, here you go.
Thank you so much, Orlando. In this presentation, we're going to go over some key concepts around AP automation and invoice processing. Then I'm going to show you how our Syen products can automate those labor-intensive processes and have you experience overall efficiency. So we all know that in accounting, there's tons of paper. If you walk into any sized accounting department across the country, you'll usually find multiple file cabinets. And then not only are there multiple file cabinets, but they're centralized file cabinets. Most of the clerks even have their own cabinets, which usually have a stack of paper piled on top of it. And if you look at individual desks, you'll find that there's even more paper stacked in their inboxes and outboxes. A lot of times they're swimming in paper, so it can get quite painful. One of the key statistics here is that most businesses are still receiving about 75% paper invoices. The cost of paper is pretty well known. A few years ago, AIM, the Association for Information and Image Management, did a study. They found that companies spend quite a bit of money on filing documents, searching for misfiled documents, and having to spend time reproducing lost documents. So you can see here how $20 here, $120 there, $220 here can really start to add up for just about any business. Now, along with these costs, there are also costs that are specific to paper-based invoices in accounts payable departments. Let's explore four areas and these costs that could be associated with those. The first one is shipping and mailing. So if you have an organization that the accounting department is located in a headquarter while they have branches in remote locations, typically they receive invoices that are shipped to central headquarters for processing. These invoices get either shipped, mailed, or sent by courier. If you look at the costs associated with transporting these invoices to headquarters, you'll realize how pricey it can end up. Along with that, you have a time delay. You usually need to account to 1 to 2 days of travel time to that processing time. Which leads us to our next cost, in payment cycles. Institute of Management Administration states that 25% of invoices are paid late. More often than not, this is related to the inefficiencies of processing associated with paper. These cycle times can lead to late payments, expensive penalty fees that add up, and to add salt to the wound, you can't take advantage of early paid discounts. Along with that, you have a lot of data entry errors that can lead to the need to go back and reprocess it, which can add to even more processing time. The next cost associated is with searching and locating of information about the invoice, sometimes even trying to locate the invoice itself. We see quite a few implementations where a single audit or a single legal issue plus the time associated with it easily paid for a digital solution. We all know that searching file cabinets can be painful, especially when you're looking for a file that's already checked out and is sitting on someone's desk for weeks. It's extremely costly to work with paper when you're searching and locating files. That brings us to our final piece, which is archive and storage. People love to maintain their paper, whether they're doing it to comply with a law or in most cases they just simply want to be able to go back and reference it. So long-term storage can really add up, especially when you're having the large trucks pick up large amounts of documents, boxes of documents, and store it in a third-party storage facility. There's an ever-growing cost of cabinet space in the real estate from a real estate perspective. Now let's address disaster recovery for a minute. Typically, when we think about disasters, we envision images of hurricanes or earthquakes, maybe even a massive fire. But really, a disaster can be as simple as a frozen pipe. If you look at the recent weather we've had over this early spring here, or summer, I'm sorry, not summer, winter, you'll see that there's been a lot of issues with bursting pipes. I know that down in the southeast United States, they even had a freezing spell recently where people couldn't even go to work and schools were shut down. Had you had these files digitally and online, they'll always be available for access and always be backed up. Now that we've covered several good reasons to move to digital invoice processing, let's take a quick look at this recent survey. The survey shows that the feedback from several chief financial officers who were interviewed after the implementation of an AP invoice processing system. What we found is that they saw a significant improvement in their business with reduced cycle time, audit process improvements, improved visibility of processes, and so on. Everything is focused on reducing costs and taking advantage of the benefits of a digital AP process system can bring. Now, the last thing I'll throw on the screen here is filing time and cost comparison, which is the cost to file invoices. It takes an average of 5 minutes for your accounts payable clerk or accounting personnel to take that invoice and go file it either in a filing cabinet or just simply file it and process it. Now, if you're paying someone $20 an hour, that's going to cost you $1.67 per invoice. Alternatively, with scanning and imaging, it's quick and simple. The time is based on the amount of automation that you choose, but you're looking at about 50 cents an invoice. So if you're looking at 3 times the cost of filing a paper invoice, now multiply that time by 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 invoices per month. You could now see how those costs can really add up. So what are the solutions out there? Now at Syen, the way we look at invoice processing is that we chop them into 3 buckets: basic, intermediate, and advanced. So our basic solution is a very low-level automated solution. Typically what it is that invoices are still processed in the same manner through your accounting workflow, but they are scanned and archived at the end of the process. So now you have a digital copy in a digital archive repository that you could bring up and reference it when you need it. There's really no impact on the current process. This is the lowest cost solution as well, and it gives you some great benefits. Intermediate solution. The invoices are scanned and processed at receipt. Some or all of the data is extracted automatically. Typically, departments that have this type of solution will have multiple screens for their clerks, so they can have an invoice on one screen and their accounting system on another screen, and it really eases data entry into the system. Very simple process. You can validate the data, and once again, a little bit more automation. And now the final solution is advanced. Invoices are received and process header information as well as line item information is automatically extracted. Now that line item information is automatically passed into your accounting system as well as the image are placed into some searchable repository. So top-level automation, and obviously the more you automate, the more efficiency you gain, and the lower costs these types of processes will incur. So now that I've mapped out basic, intermediate, advanced from a technical perspective, I'll show you what Syen has to offer. From a basic perspective, you buy the product, you have very basic point-and-click data entry where you can hover over information on an invoice and click it. You can have drop-downs or lists of vendors that come back from your accounting system, and then you can archive the information into a searchable repository. We support 60-plus different systems. I'll show you a list of that. Now, to go to intermediate, all you have to do is add a module and some services to customize the system. And now we have all the basic options, but we can automatically extract header information. So now your folks aren't manually keying in data. It's been auto-extracted. It's the next level of automation, and we can file these once again and archive them. Now, the last most advanced from an automation perspective is the advanced. We automatically classify and identify the vendor invoice that are scanned in. We not only extract the header information, but we also extract the line item data. We integrate with both your accounting and your content management system, and we provide the ability to do web-based approvals as well if you're doing a project-based accounting. So in this example, your clerks will look at a spreadsheet-based QA interface where all the data has been extracted, click OK, and then you're off to the races. So I want to give you a bird's eye view of the process. All the different solutions that we offer solve the invoice capture equation. On one side, you have copiers. Okay, you have copiers, desktop scanners. Maybe people are faxing and emailing invoices to you. What we give is a simple way to route and process either through basic, intermediate, or advanced solution and route to your personnel, and then let them release the information either to your ERP system and accounting or your content repository for later search and retrieval capability. Okay. Here's a list of our supported migrations. This represents most but not all of the supported migrations. This is the who's who of document management space. Please note that all of these migrations are written and supported by Syen, so we don't point fingers when you do have technical questions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you some 3 basic demos here on my computer. Okay. So this is the Syen interface, and depending on who you are, you may see, or what your level of access is, you may see less or more on the left-hand side. Now, this could be pointed to a desktop scanner, or this could be pointed to a folder that we are monitoring that network scanners and MFP devices are connected to. Okay. So I'm going to show you a very basic version. This is the least of automation, but I wanted to show you how you can easily do point and click assist on these invoices. So what I've done is brought in 4 different types of invoices. And what SciCapture will do, SciCapture is the name of the product, SciCapture will separate all the pages by either the name of the company, or if it's a certain length of a page that we know after first page or so. So there's a lot of ways we can separate here and offer automation there. Now in this example, we're going to be pulling out invoice number, invoice date, and vendor name and vendor total. But we're going to be doing that manually with point and click assist indexing. Okay. So now I'm making the document searchable. So everything that you scan in will become searchable. And in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and find invoice number. So it's as easy as mousing over and click. Now I've also provided you with calendaring options. I'm going to pick today's date to make it easy. And the system can also do a database lookup. So we're going to go ahead and type in Lucky Dog. Okay. So this can be connected to your database, or if you're using SharePoint, you can go to a SharePoint lookup, a library, invoice total. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. So the next one comes up, and then I'm just looking for the invoice number. Pick a date again. Okay. Vendor name. It's got Thomas. Repo. Okay. And invoice total. Can I'm going to keep doing this for the next 3 pieces here, or 2 more invoices. Corey. And invoice total. and one more, invoice date, invoice number, pick a date. So it's very simple interface for people to work with. Okay, and it avoids a lot of mistakes. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and bring it into the view, and each of these lines represent one invoice. So we give you a nice, pretty spreadsheet to look through when you're doing, if you wanted to do QA in the system. Okay. So now that we covered, now it's going to go ahead and do some recognition or make all the documents searchable. So when you have your backend database, or if you're looking for the document in your backend database, you could do a search. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is the intermediate one. This is more automated, but in this case, it's not as automated as the next one I'm going to show you, because this particular one will pull a lot of information on your invoices. However, it's not going to get line item description. So we're going to be pulling header information and totals, simply everything that I showed you earlier, but we're automating that process. So the system is looking for, it's realizing that this particular invoice is from Lucky Dog, and it knows exactly where to pull the invoice number, PO number, whatever you needed. So in this case here, I've stated which vendor this is, and which invoice number, what the invoice number is, invoice date. We can normalize the dates as well if you wanted that, who the vendor is, and the total. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and now show you the more automated, most automated version we have, which is our advanced, as I spoke to you earlier about. Okay. We're going to pull in the same 4 invoices and run a batch. Okay, and in this case, I have 4 different invoices. Keep in mind as you're watching this that most people don't interact with this interface that you're seeing. This is kind of behind the scenes. So the point is really to create it, set up the templates, and then, as they say, set it and forget it. So basically, when the person comes up, or your accounts payable clerk comes up to the scanner, they click the green button. We're doing all of this on the back end. When they get to their desk, they open up their back-end system, whether it's QuickBooks or whether it's SharePoint or a different kind of database system like I showed you earlier. All the information should be in there and scanned and made searchable, and all of this information pulled out already and pushed out to their back-end system. So you have invoice number, invoice date. You've got line item description. You got line quantity, line total. You could go as far as total, and here's an example of that. So pure automation on that end. Now, in the third example I gave you earlier, I mentioned that there could, for project-based type of accounting, we can give you a web-based interface. Okay, let me hope I know my password. A web-based interface to interact with, so that approvers can take a look at the invoice. This is let's pretend this is my queue. So I'm going to go in here. I'm sent an email saying, hey, there's some items in your queue to approve of. Looks like all of that information's been extracted for me, and then I'm going to say, okay, well, yes, I approve of this invoice. I can add notes, and I can click approved and then save, and then I'm on to the next one to review. Okay, so that's a nice way to approve invoices. Now I want to show you an example of what it looks like if we were to take a look at this from our back-end system, kind of like a repository. So in this case, I'm showing you as an example today SharePoint. And what it did was it created a file for me based on the vendor when I scanned it from the scanner, and it also normalized the naming convention for me. So I set it so that I wanted the vendor name and the date, and then in this case, I think it's also the invoice number, but it's cut off here. I've also pulled extra what we call metadata. Information for invoice number, invoice date, vendor, and total. Now, if you're using some kind of back-end system like uh, SharePoint, DocuWare, any type of content management system that then can route and set triggers for workflow approval processes. We give them this system a river of information that you can use to then pipe into SharePoint or some kind of backend system that can start routing or set off trigger routing approval processes. So if you want to think of Syen as the on-ramp, right, to get your information, your paper information into the system, and then extracted, made searchable, pull index key values, and then pipe that into your backend systems, whether it be a content type of management system and or your line of business type applications like your accounting type databases like Oracle, SAP, QuickBooks, or those types. And that brings me to the conclusion of my presentation today. Are there any questions that we can answer? Orlando, back to you.
Well, all right, everyone. Thank you for that, Marcel. Folks, if you have any questions, please use your chat or your Q&A box on your WebEx to ask any questions here. And it looks like I see some folks typing up here some questions, so let's give that a second or two for those to come in. Let's see. So we do have a question that's in here, which is on the easy side, but maybe you can cover this up a little more. Once set up, can my frontline employees use this easily?
Can your frontline employees use it? Yes, absolutely. So basically, the if you wanted them to interact with the QA portion that I showed you, we can easily set that up, and obviously they will have less controls on the left-hand side, depending on what kind of level of access we want to give them. So there's two interfaces they can interact with: either the SciCapture product that I showed you earlier, that's actually doing all the heavy-duty lifting, or if they wanted to use the web-based version, SciFusion that I showed earlier. It's a lot easier to use in terms of functionality and look and feel. There's really no zero learning curve on for that product, and very easy to interface with. Also allows you to outsource that work if you wanted to as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. We also have a couple of questions here. Actually, same questions from two different individuals, just worded
Mm-hmm.
a little differently.
Okay.
Do you integrate with Great Plains,
Great Plains
which is an ERP?
was
Hmm.
purchased by Microsoft, and most likely has a Microsoft database under SQL Server. And yes, we can interface with that. It would be either through a staging database that would push out to Great Plains, or connect directly. So we can evaluate that with you. One thing I forgot to mention is that I welcome you, or we welcome you to, if you wanted to send us some samples, sample invoices that you want to see Syen run through and customize for you, we'd be more than happy to do that for you. Sometimes it's a lot better to actually see it with your own samples.
Good. Okay. We also have a very specific vertical question: is do you service any restaurants? So very business specific.
You know, the thing is, people always ask me what's the best or what's the most common industry you service, and the answer really is anyone who's dealing with a lot of paper, right? So what typically happens is that this solution will fit the needs of accounts payable because they're the most labor intensive pieces, and then spread over to HR, then spread over to legal, and then just depending on the company, manufacturing or shipping and handling, and it just touches all different departments. Today, Syen is used in almost every single vertical I could think of, mainly because everybody's dealing with paper still.
Good. And I have one last question here. It looks like, unless somebody types a new one up here, um, is about the accuracy of information. Is how accurate is the information once it comes in? How can we make sure of the accuracy?
there is a confidence level that we can set. So if you said, you know what, if the confidence level of the system is below 80%, please email me and let me know for that particular field if you didn't capture it. Because I will be honest with you, no technology is perfect. And if you happen to give me a scan of a scan of a scan and a fax of a scan, I probably won't be able to read every single item off that page. So what we tend to do is, majority of this is pure automation, right? But however, there will be an exceptions queue that we will email the administrator and say, hey, by the way, I couldn't read these. Could you please log in and tell me what these are so I can finish the process? But that should be about 10% of uh, of the invoices that we processed or documents that we processed.
Perfect. And we do have a new question that just came up.
Hmm.
Do you interface with Sage 300 ERP?
We can look at that. We've integrated with about 60 plus backend systems out of the box. Um, if it can receive an XML file or a load file or a monitor folder of some sort, we typically can do that. The complexity varies from system to system as do costs, but we could look at that individually. It's most likely could potentially be through a staging database.
Hmm. And I think we've with Sage, and I forgot which Sage product it was. I think we've done something with that not that long ago. So I just don't
Oh,
recall the
great.
actual Sage product.
Hmm.
Um, mhm. Okay, and then of course we have. Okay, so another question that we had is if you need more information, where to send that to. And if you look on the screen, we have info@informeddecisions.com, where you can email questions from today's webinar. And you can also call in 800-858-5544 and take option 2. That'll go
Hmm.
to our sales team. Mike Donkels will be leading that side of the sales team along with our other folks, and they'll be able to answer any questions, set up any demonstrations, and be able to give you any at least an
Custom
idea of
demos.
what you need and how to set that up and what's going on in that world of yours. So
Right.
we
I
can go
just
from
want to
there.
repeat, if you didn't hear me earlier, I welcome you to send us any samples that you would like us to try to do a tailored demo for you and your organization. We'd love to do that for you.
Yeah, and for the person who just asked on a question that just came in, you can send those samples to info@informeddecisions.com, and we can have we'll have Mike. You're online here. I'll give you specifically who to touch base with to actually maybe make sure we get those samples so we can actually move
Okay.
forward on that side.
Perfect. Then
Okay.
let us know which fields you'd like extracted and
Hmm.
which system you'd like to pipe that into. Okay.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
And any more questions out there? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Well, again, from everyone here at Informed Decisions, Marcel at Syen, everyone involved in this, thank you very much for your time in participating in today's webinar. We look forward to being able to help you and assist you in your future needs. And please feel free to contact us at any point. Again, you see the number there, 800-858-5544, option 2, or at info@informeddecisions.com. All right, everyone. Thank you for today's webinar. We're just at 10:31 right now in time, and we'll be ending the webinar. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.